Hey, welcome back to SportsCenter. The draft is in 6 days. Raiders have 9 picks, starting with 6 overall, and let's just say they need everything. But for a team that was forced to start 3 different quarterbacks that combined for a QBR of 40, maybe that seems like the best place to start. Vegas GM John Spytek on their approach.
This is the age-old question, right? Are we doing need or are we doing best player available? And my answer would be that it's a combination of both. Yes, we're going to make the best decision for the Raiders, and certainly we have to take into mind places that we feel like we're not as deep at certain positions, and also we have opportunities to add really good players too, whether we think we need that player or not. You know, my experience kind of is 2 things. If you start forcing players because you need them, you end up regretting that.
We love Ryan Clark so much that we would pay a king's ransom to have him on this show. And honestly, he looks like he's at a place where they might ask for one. RC, as we know, the Raiders need help literally everywhere. But what do you think they can do with that 6 overall pick that will be like an impact?
Well, I think the first thing, obviously, Elle, is Ashton Jeanty, who many have mocked to the Raiders. Their run game was putrid. They couldn't get anything going. Josh Jacobs leaves for Green Bay, and they couldn't even start an offense because there was no run game to lead into the play action. And he is one of the true, Ashton Jeanty is one of the true impact blue chip players in this draft. But also the run game suffered because of the offensive line. If 2 of those top offensive linemen, whether it's Will Campbell falls or the kid from Missouri falls, they're going to have to truly consider getting themselves a tackle that can protect Geno Smith. When your team is as bad as they were, you need to fill so many positions. But I agree with Spytek. Don't start drafting for need when there's an opportunity to pick the best player available.
They're going to need all of Jeanty's 2,600 rushing yards. A quiz for you. All right. The last time that the Raiders won a playoff game, the #1 grossing movie that year was Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Name that year.
06.
2002, my friend. 2002. I know. It's been a long time. You didn't get it right, but we'll still free you if you need. Blink if you need help. Are you good? All right. Ryan Clark.
I'm good. Thank you, my girl.
Thanks for joining us. All right, a walk down draft memory lane, shall we? Some of the biggest trades during the NFL draft didn't actually involve anyone being drafted that day, like in 1996. When the Rams dealt Jerome Bettis to the Steelers, the bus ended up rushing for over 10,000 yards over his 10 seasons in Pittsburgh and helped the Steelers to victory in Super Bowl 40 in his final game. How about when Randy Moss was traded from the Raiders to the Patriots in 07, and all the future Hall of Famer did in his first season in New England was set the NFL's single-season receiving touchdown record with 23, by the way, a record that still stands today. And finally, 3 years ago, Titans trade star wideout A.J. Brown to the Eagles. The former Ole Miss star, one of 3 players with 4,000 yards and 25 touchdown catches over the last 3 seasons, joining Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb. Hey, as promised, we welcome back our senior NFL reporter, Jeremy Fowler. What's the buzz that you're hearing about? Maybe some trades we could see around the draft?
It could be some action with some star players. Let's start with Jalen Ramsey. The Miami Dolphins are shopping Ramsey, the star cornerback, as we speak. $21 million in guaranteed money in 2025. Makes this a little bit cost prohibitive for a lot of teams, but there should be a market. The setup they have with Ramsey is they're going to look into this, and then if they have some solidified teams that could make a potential deal, they will circle back with the player, make it happen. So nothing going on right now, but certainly closer to day 1 or day 2 to the draft, that could heat up. And the Dolphins at number 13 on the clock could certainly go defensive back to try to reshape that defensive back room. And you got Mark Andrews. This one's complicated because he's a legacy player of Baltimore. They love him there. Certainly they're open to him returning, but they've been non-committal recently about his future. He's got a $16.9 million cap hit. So something has to give here. Certainly they could keep him or even extend him. But meanwhile, you have teams like the Indianapolis Colts, a few others that are looking hard at tight ends in the draft. Maybe if they don't get their guy early, they could circle back with Baltimore, make a deal. Next, you have, flip it, we got Trey Hendrickson there with the Cincinnati Bengals. So this one's at a bit of a stalemate. No update, I'm told, on contract talks with the team. The Bengals want to re-sign him. Hendrickson wants to be there, but they're far apart in money and have been for a while. Meanwhile, the Bengals don't want to trade him, really. I mean, they've had a huge price tag that no team has been willing or able to meet at this point. So maybe the draft will create some urgency here. Meanwhile, Bengals picking 17th. Do they go edge rusher to really complicate matters and potentially give a headache to Hendrickson even more? Then you got Kirk Cousins. So the feeling I get, sense I get from Atlanta is they're still not eager to make a move here because they've paid him all this money, $37 million in guarantees that he's locked in on, and they just don't really see the need to just take a measly day 3 pick to move him unless a team makes an enticing offer. Maybe the draft will create that. But they're willing to go through next week, keeping Cousins on the roster. Look, in June is when he has to report for minicamp, so there is some time. Maybe that's the next deadline if they do get past the draft. But Cleveland Browns look like they've moved on, taking Joe Flacco. There's just not a lot of momentum here with Atlanta in a deal for Cousins.
I mean, listen, he's already hamstrung them financially. He got a $10 million roster bonus because he was still on the roster the 5th day of the league year, and a $40 million cap hit. But at least he can sort of swag surf. Thanks, Jay Fowl.
That's pretty good.
Sort of. NBA for now. Let's switch gears to the NFL, where last week we learned Saints quarterback Derek Carr is dealing with a shoulder injury that could jeopardize his 2025 season, prompting speculation about whether the Saints, who pick 9th in next week's draft, might select a quarterback with that pick, namely Shedeur Sanders, who's projected to still maybe be available there. The odds makers, they like the speculation. According to ESPN Bet, Shedeur Sanders is the favorite to land in that spot. New Orleans, by the way, has drafted a quarterback in each of the last 2 years, picking Spencer Rattler in 2024 and Jake Haener in 2023. We're going to stay right there with our senior NFL reporter, Jay Fowl. With all due respect to the odds makers, there are some teams that are picking before the Saints that are interested in Shedeur Sanders. Like, what are you hearing?
So, Elle, I'm told Shedeur Sanders is still under consideration to the Cleveland Browns at number 2 and the New York Giants at number 3. So the Browns, they like Shedeur Sanders. There's some love for him. He's been one of the players that they've thought about with that pick, but there's not a lot of momentum there league-wide. Most expect them to go Travis Hunter, with a little potential love there for Abdul Carter, the pass rusher, as well. And the feeling with the Giants is that they could just take whoever the Browns don't take out of Hunter and Carter. So that could leave Sanders in a precarious spot. Certainly the expectation is he'll go somewhere in the first round, but that range right now is pretty high. It seems anywhere from like 2 to maybe 21 to the Steelers. Does a team like Cleveland or New York, if they don't take him early, do they try to trade back into the first round? A lot of variables here for Shedeur Sanders. Meanwhile, you have the Saints sitting there at number 9. Clearly they need a quarterback and have done a lot of homework on that position, but the feeling right now I get is they might not go Sanders at number 9.
Okay, I love that you mentioned the Steelers, because it would probably be the worst case scenario in the Sanders house is that he would fall all the way to 21, but certainly there could be some interest there, because they're sitting around waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make a decision. What's the latest you can tell us about their quarterback plans?
So the Steelers are staying with their plan because they feel like, and I talked to somebody there that's like, nothing really changed here because we have Mason Rudolph as that bridge quarterback, and then we've done a ton of homework on these quarterbacks in this draft, knowing that the Steelers entered this process thinking they would take a swing on a QB either this year or next year, which is considered a stronger quarterback class. Now, Rodgers, if he's available and signs with them, that gives them an extra year to wait on that process a little bit. But they're going to see how the board falls. If they don't take a quarterback at 21, certainly day 2 could be an option. There's several players that they like and have spent time with, done their homework on, all those fun things. But meanwhile, Elle, this is Aaron Rodgers' first foray into free agency in his 20-year career. We knew that this probably wasn't going to go all that smoothly.
Yeah, you mentioned the term wait, right? And the Steelers are historically very patient, but they've also lost 6 straight playoff games, which is the longest losing streak in team history. At some point, those towels are going to get real terrible. Jeremy Fowler coming back.